Let's talk about it with R.C. Blakes. Let's talk about it.
And the title of this particular lesson is Divorce-Proofing Your Marriage. You know, so many people get married out of marriage like that. You know, why is this? Is it that there's a lack of love? Is it that there's a lack of commitment? Quite often that's not necessarily the case. And there's some things I want to look at, which I doubt very seriously that we will look at all of it tonight, because this is pretty extensive. But in this lesson, divorce-proofing your marriage, we listed 6 things that, you know, any counselor can tell you are 6 things that are signs that a marriage is headed for trouble. And this message, of course, applies to people who are married. But as I say to singles, you should never tune people out when they are teaching on marriage, because it's better to have this wisdom before you get in it. You know, an ounce of prevention is more valuable than a pound of cure. It's better to have this information before you get in it than to get in it and then have to go back and rectify some things. So marital teaching, family teaching should be something that wise singles are drawn to. But 6 signs that a marriage is headed for trouble. Harsh startup communication, you know, what you want. You know, when your conversation begins like that, it means that there are some tensions, there are some problems, not even beneath the surface, that are on the surface, that are negatively impacting the chemistry of that marriage. Constant criticism and stonewalling. We call it, what you call that? Brick walling. You know, where there's constant criticism and stonewalling, where you just kind of create a cold environment within the relationship, and one person or both kind of walk around and ignore each other. Number 3, flooding the conversation with build-up negativity at every opportunity. Whenever you have an opportunity, you just kind of flood the environment of the conversation, or the environment of the relationship out with, you know, just a flood of negativity about what you did, what you didn't do, what you should have done. Flooding the conversation, or flooding the relationship with build-up negativity. Number 4, body language. When your body language is negative, you know, I love to see a man in church put his arm around his wife. I love to see a woman lean into her husband's shoulder. You know, when a couple is walking, it says something when a woman walks ahead of a man, or a man walks ahead of his woman without looking back and no concern for what's going on behind her. A man walks in and lets the door slam on his wife. You know, body language, the way you know. Number 5, failed reconciliation attempts, where you try to come together, but, you know, it never works. You meet with the pastor, you go to counselors, and you have all of these, you have this history of failed reconciliation attempts. Your marriage is in trouble. And number 6, when bad memories dominate the relationship. When you have more bad memories than you have good, and those bad memories many times are preventing you from trusting to move forward or to go into the future with this person. There are 3 fundamental steps every couple must employ to maintain a strong and lifelong marriage. There are three that I've listed according to my lesson. Now, you can go and find other people's books. They may have 30, but I have 3 things here, and I'm certain that there are more. 3 fundamental steps every couple must employ to maintain a strong and lifelong marriage. If you've not shared this, share it. If you just came in, share this. People always ask me to do marital teaching, family teaching. I want to see if there's a real interest on Periscope for it. I know there is on Facebook, but I want to see if there's an interest on Periscope for it. So share this so people won't, you know, blow my inbox up. And point number one, is if you're going to maintain a healthy, strong, lifelong marriage relationship, you must empty the trash every day. Empty the trash every day. Just to give you an idea of how this lesson progresses, we said that number one, you must empty the trash. And point number two, which I don't think we're going to get to tonight, is that you have to close the gates. And then number three, you have to follow the map. I don't think we're going to get to 2 and 3 tonight. We may come back tomorrow night and possibly Thursday night and deal with the other two. Just make this a block of teachings on marriage. Empty the trash every day. Here's the illustration. Achieving a magnificent marriage. This is written in 2003, so I have to read some of this. Achieving a magnificent marriage is somewhat like, now listen to this carefully, it's somewhat like a master chef creating a gourmet meal. Even though the chef produces something that is a marvel to others, the meal, behind the scene, the process creates lots of garbage. The garbage has to be disposed of regularly and properly. Now here's the visual on that. You see a marriage that you think is working, like a lot of people all across the country admire Lisa and I, our marriage, and the way we interact, and the way we appear to be publicly. And I will admit that we are pretty much what you see in public is pretty much what we are in private. But here's the reality. That public persona, that public production produces a lot of private garbage. Just like you go to a 5-star restaurant and they bring out this fabulous plate, this fabulous meal, garnished and beautiful and all of that. But if you went back into the kitchen where the chef is that put all of that together, on the counter where he put all of that or where she put all of that together, it's usually a lot of trash, a lot of scraps that are laying around. The apron of the chef is usually filthy with all of the colors of the meal on it. And so it is with a marriage. A strong, beautiful marriage at the same time produces a lot of garbage daily that has to be disposed of if that marriage is going to last. You cannot have a gourmet meal without garbage, nor can you have a magnificent marriage without things that need to be disposed of properly. Now, what is marital garbage? Let's look at this. What is marital garbage? Marital garbage is the natural fallout. It is the natural fallout of two independent thinkers. It is the natural fallout of two independent thinkers attempting to live in a single space harmoniously. You cannot take two people who have their own minds and put them under one roof and think that you're not going to have fallout. It consists of, watch this, misunderstandings, marital garbage. It consists of misunderstandings, hurt feelings, assumptions, jealousies, fears, and other negative feelings and emotions. Marital garbage. The Bible says in Hebrews 12, 14, and 15, follow peace with all men and holiness without which no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently, lest any man miss the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Marital garbage consists of small issues. Now listen to this carefully. Marital garbage consists of small issues that are swept under the rug and ignored. Or they're small issues that are magnified and blown up into being something that is irreconcilable. The problem comes in when the many small issues compile. You have to learn to deal with small issues in marriage swiftly. Most of you who are married, in fact, many of you who cannot seem to make a significant relationship last or endure, it is because you allow those small issues to pile up rather than dealing with them in the moment. If a gourmet chef were to create a gourmet meal for, let's say, 300 people a week and never cleaned up the trash, if he did not clean up the trash as he or she went, at some point in the very near future, that restaurant is going to be shut down because it is going to be infested with rodents. Because the trash that you fail to clean up on a daily basis doesn't only sit there, watch this, it attracts things into the environment that were not designed to be there. So if a gourmet chef goes in Monday night and starts cooking for people and cooks all the way through Friday or Saturday and does not clean up somewhere around Sunday, even before, that kitchen is going to be in a position where it should be closed down because the lack of attention to trash disposal is now attracting things into the environment that could very well poison the product. And that's where a lot of you are now. You overreact to a lot of things. You don't deal with small things. You take small things and you're angry about small things for days and weeks, and you let this stuff just pile up and build up. And then by the time you deal with it, it's so massive that you have an infestation. In Song of Solomon 2:15 it says, "Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines." It's not the big things that will destroy the vision. It's not the big things that will destroy the value in a situation, relationship, or whatever. It's the small things that are not tended to, that are not properly cared for and managed. So now marriages rarely fall apart because of one big issue. Marriages rarely fall apart because of one big issue. Marriages fall apart because of many small matters that were not dealt with properly and in a timely fashion. I wonder how many of you that are on here tonight who right now in the backs of your minds have a lot of small things that you are disturbed about, concerned about, maybe even angry about, that your significant other knows nothing about. Galatians 5:9 says, "A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump." Doesn't take a lot. It just takes a little bit to change the chemistry of an otherwise healthy relationship. Let me see. Okay, the Bible says, that we should not entertain bitterness because it will defile. It will defile us. When you have small things that you are, for instance, angry about in your marriage, perturbed about, upset about, and if it's significant enough for you to continuously think about it, it is significant enough for you to talk about it. Let me say that again. If it's significant enough for you to think about it, it is significant enough for you to talk about it. On a daily basis, I'm certain that Lisa and I get on one another's nerves multiple times a day. But because of years, you know, that stuff rolls off our backs like the water off of a duck's back. So the things that might be significant to a lot of you all are not really significant to us. But if it's significant enough for you to think about and sit around and pout about, it's significant enough for you to have a conversation about. Because those little small issues that nag you in the back of your mind, it's kind of like, this is the illustration I used back in 2003. If you take, okay, just take a chicken wing. Just take a chicken wing. Just take a raw chicken wing, just a small chicken wing, and throw it behind the dresser. And see if that small chicken wing, in a matter of days, especially if it's in the summertime, does not run you and your family out of that house. Just that small chicken wing will pollute the environment to the point that nobody can live there. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to attract things into the house that are not supposed to be in the house. There are a lot of you who are not processing the small things, and you don't realize that you're poisoning the whole big picture. And because you're not processing the small things, you're mad about stuff that your spouse has no clue you're angry about. You've opened the door for things to come into your marriage, like cheating, conversations with people that you shouldn't be having, and all of this other stuff, because you didn't sit down and have the conversation. This is why Ephesians 4:26 says, be angry and sit and sin not. Let not the sun go down up on your wrath. If you're angry about something, you should deal with it before you go to sleep. Are y'all still here? I'm trying to read your stuff. I agree, but I've never been. Well, use it if you get married. This stuff that I'm talking about even works if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You got to be able to put the trash out. Anytime you have a significant relationship, it is going to create trash that has to be disposed of. Fact about it, I venture to say this works even in terms of your relationship with your parents, your siblings, good friend, anybody that you are close with. Those relationships produce a lot of garbage that has to be disposed of regularly. It's just that when you start talking about a marriage, you're talking about a whole nother level of it. But these principles apply to all kinds of relationships. You don't have to be married. So if we solve small solvable problems in a timely fashion, we will never have irreconcilable differences. If we solve small solvable problems, we will never have irreconcilable differences. If we don't have a trash disposal system, it will result in what I called the 4 R's. This is from 2003, y'all. This is what, 16 years ago? Yeah, something like that. Or 16? No, 13 years. 13 years ago. There's that New Orleans education for you. The 4 R's. If we don't have a trash disposal system, it will result in what I call the 4 R's of relational breakdown. The 4 R's of relational breakdown. You ready for them? Number 1 is repression. When you have this stuff in you and you don't deal with it, you don't put the trash out, and this stuff is building up in you, and your significant other has stuff building up in him or her, the first thing that happens is repression. This is when something annoys you, but you choose to bury it, ignore it, and hope it disappears. That's where most of you all are now. You're in the repression stage, where you just wishing upon a star. Something is bothering you, something is annoying you, and you're hoping that it goes away. You're repressing it. Number 2 is resentment. At this stage, the repression turns into resentment. Now you've push this stuff down, but now this stuff is becoming evident in your attitude. Now your answers are short. You're coming to bed at night. You're turning your back to your spouse. Resentment. You're looking at them. You can't even look at them now because you resent them, because they are doing this and this is making you feel a certain kind of way, but you've never talked about it because you repressed it. Now you are resenting. Now you are resenting the person that you love the most. This is why you have people in divorce courts crying. It's because most of the people that get divorced still love one another. They just did not communicate. They just did not grow together. So they drifted so far apart, they could not find their way back to one another because they lacked relational skills and or wisdom. So number one is 4 hours of relational breakdown: repression, resentment. Then there's rejection. At this stage, you've gone through repression, turned into resentment. Now you're in the rejection stage. Now the person exits, listen, now the person exits the relationship emotionally and possibly physically. I don't want this no more. Now they've exited the relationship. They are emotionally divorced from the relationship, and possibly there's some distance between them and their spouse. This repression is turned into resentment. Now there's the rejection. I don't want you no more. And watch this. Here's the sad thing. The person that they are rejecting, even at this point, probably does not know why. And then watch this, number 4, replacement. The 4 hours, I call these the 4 hours of relational breakdown: repression, resentment, rejection, and then there's replacement. This is when the person finds someone else to meet the need they felt their previous spouse did not meet. This is when, watch this. Let me help you see this. This is when a man ignores his wife's need for romantic attention, not sexual attention, romantic attention, and he does not build his wife up so as to make her feel as though she is attractive, she is sexy, and all of these other things that women need to feel. And she represses that for months and for years, and he does not do it. And then it turns into resentment, and then she begins to reject him, and then he wakes up and another man has his woman. And I know brothers hate to hear that, but it does happen. And in most instances, when women cheat, in most instances, they say it's changing with this generation. Well, with my generation, when women cheated, it was usually because the man failed to deposit into them emotionally. And then at some point, the woman replaces the man. Is this making sense to anybody? Thoughts about posting relationship on social media? Yeah. Okay, there are 2 fundamental rules to garbage disposal: talk and listen. 2 fundamental rules to garbage disposal in a relationship: talk and listen. The couple must learn to talk and listen if trash is going to be fully disposed of. Speak without offending. Here's the rule: speak without offending and listen without defending. I think my daughter, Dr. Harper, deals with that. Speak without offending and listen without defending. Now let me read this. Here's an illustration of effective garbage disposal. Are you all still here? All right, watch this. Scenario 1, illustration of effective garbage disposal. Illustration of effective garbage. If you're just coming in, this might not make sense to you, so you might need to go back and look at the replay of this to understand where we are when I'm talking about garbage disposal. Scenario 1. Tim and Tanya have been married for 2 months. In the 2 months, Tim has repeatedly come in 2 or 3 hours after work hours were over. Tanya has become bitterly resentful of Tim, and her mind has imagined all sorts of ungodly activity. However, she has never talked to Tim about his late arrivals. Tim is naively wondering, why is Tanya so harsh with him? Scenario number 2. Tim and Tanya have been married for 2 weeks. For the first 2 weeks of their marriage, Tanya has noticed that Tim arrives home from work 2 or 3 hours after work hours are ended. Tonight, Tanya is going to respectfully confront Tim and get this off of her mind. She sits Tim down and simply asks, "Why do you come home so late every night?" Tim says, "It has been a habit of mine for the last 3 years to stop by the library to get some reading in every evening. I never thought to inform you. I apologize. If it bothers you, I'll find another way." Tanya says to Tim, "It's not a problem at all. I just needed to know and not be wondering." Do you see how that happened? Now, if Tanya had held on to that stuff, there's no telling where this could have led. And because she disposed of what she was carrying, Tim was able to bring clarity. So now, the next part of this lesson, we're talking about divorce-proofing your marriage. In the next part of this lesson, we talk about closing the gates. And I may come back tomorrow night, providing that I think I'll be able to do it. I'm not certain what time. It'll probably be 9 o'clock or so, I suppose, 9:30, no later than 10. And maybe we'll go into lesson number 2. Did you get anything out of this tonight? Tim would be shot. Lord have mercy. Jesus, you're going to shoot the man, and the man ain't doing nothing but going to the library. My God, my God. Oh, yeah, Tim should have communicated. Absolutely. Well, see, now y'all getting ahead of it, because communicating is a part of closing the gates. That's some of the next, part of the lesson. Tonight we talked about trash disposal, but closing the gates involves communicating, allowing no room for assumptions or imaginations. That's a part of closing the gates. So we'll look at that tomorrow night. And yeah, did you all get anything out of this tonight? Did this bless you tonight? Talk to me. Thank you, good info. God bless you. My son, Pastor D, God bless you. Yes, Eileen, I see you in here tonight. Been a while, we have to meet. Yes, communicating is part of closing. Absolutely. So I hope this helps. You all have been asking for relationship teaching. This is marital teaching, but it works for people that are engaged. It works for people that are, significantly or seriously seeing one another. It works. It's the stuff I live by, and it works for Lisa and I. What you think, Lee?
I think it does.
Talk to the people.
Hey, everybody. Just walked in the house.
I would have made you teach if I knew you were coming in here. I missed it, but we'll catch the replay. Yes.
Hey, hon.
Talk to the people.
Oh, hey.
Talk to the people.
I'm trying to read all of
You're
that
supposed
stuff.
to talk to the people.
I'm talking to the people. Did you all enjoy this lesson tonight? Wasn't it awesome? I was driving and trying to listen and respond to you guys. And
Look
all
how my
that.
numbers
Thank
go up
you.
when you come and show your
Thank
face.
you all for joining in tonight. Thank you.
Well,
for
what
joining.
did you hear most of what I was talking
It
about?
kept breaking up.
But talking about trash disposal.
Talking about trash disposal, and I was saying, oftentimes, sometimes we get into these communication, when we start communicating, it gets a little heated. It's okay to cool down,
Yeah.
but it's not okay to shut down.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's the problem.
Say that again.
It's okay to cool down.
But it's
not okay to shut down. because that trash, that when you shut down, that's when the infestation starts to happen.
Yeah.
Things starts to get stanky.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's okay to cool down, but it's not okay to shut down. So a lot of people that just kind of go into that mode where they're not saying anything, walking around with the false smile.
Right.
That's not really cooling down. That's shutting down.
That's really shutting down. That's really shutting down.
Oh my God. You know, you and I remember, man, when we first got married, you know, our environment would be messed up for days at a time over the slightest little, you know, really insignificant issue. Either I talked to you in a way you felt wasn't right, or
Right.
I felt you didn't respect me, and 4 or 5 days, that stuff just, you know, wow. And then, you know, at some point, the Lord fixes it that we have to talk about it, and then we discover it was such a small, foolish thing that it created such a divide between us. But now, you know, I look at how, after all of these years, of course, of being seasoned and growing,
That's right.
how we can kind of just surf over all of that stuff and stick to, you know.
Absolutely. It's important to just sort out things and, you know, prioritize. What's really important? What's really the matter here? When you have such a demand that like we do in our lives and so much to do, you learn how to sift, I guess is the good word to use. You learn how to sift through the insignificant things or the minor things and deal with the major things.
You know, now there are a lot of people on here tonight who have this utopian mindset about marriage and relationship, that once I get married, it's just going to be paradise and everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to have the perfect marriage. Is there such a thing?
There is not such a thing. Marriage is work, and it's an everyday job, and you don't just get there overnight. There is a honeymoon phase at the beginning. There's a honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
But that quickly dies out, and then you start getting to the real nitty-gritty of living together and trying to adapt to each other's individualities, and it becomes challenging sometimes. I mean, a lot of days there's a lot of challenges, and you have to learn how to adapt. Like, not lifting the toilet seat, you know what I mean? So you just kind of go and adapt, and you leave the toilet seat up so somebody can go ahead and keep that toilet seat up. So, yeah.
Well, my point is, okay, if you want the toilet seat, okay, y'all want us to raise the seat.
Yes, sir.
My point is, why don't y'all just put the seat up when y'all get up?
Well, that's what I'm starting to do now.
No, why would you
Yeah.
lie to these people? You and I don't even use the same,
I actually did last
why
night.
would you
I
lie
actually
to
did
these
last
people?
night.
You and I don't even use the same bathroom.
I actually did that yesterday. You came home
You
to this
did that.
nice, clean
You did that
bathroom, this
because
nice,
you wanted to
clean
do it.
house,
You and I don't even
you
use
know,
the same.
But anyway, yeah. So that's the kind of stuff.
This
I'm talking
woman
about.
just
You
gonna
know,
get
I
on here
raised
and
I
lie.
raised the toilet seat for him.
I
Didn't I
can't
raise the toilet
believe-
seat for you in there just this afternoon too? Didn't I do that? I did.
Now,
Tell the people I did.
You're talking too much personal.
Tell the people I did. See?
Ah, Lord.
But I'm just saying, you work around all these things, you know?
This is funny. But the reality is, I don't care who you are, man. You can be Michelle and Barack Obama. You're gonna have trash in your marriage that has to be put out.
That's right.
You know, you're gonna have it. You're just gonna have it. And until you wake up and realize, until you grow up and realize that marriage produces a lot of waste, you will never be mature enough to really make a marriage work.
That's right.
You know, you got to be mature enough to understand that this is going to produce a lot of stuff that has to be put away. And until you learn how to dispose of the stuff, you'll never be marital material. So I hope this blessed you tonight.